I am the Guerrilla Grower. The movie. Simple Steps for Outdoor Growers. By Anonymous and Friend. We have been outdoor growers since 1980, and have had relatively small yearly harvests every year since 1983. We have grown indica and Satavia strains and also hybrids mixing the two together. Our horticulture has taken place largely in fields in New York and New Jersey. The goal of this paper is to allow others to produce their own, and to reduce the amount of cannabis traded on the street. As more individuals become divorced from having to sell and purchase fine herb, then we as consumers will become self-sufficient and will also be able to minimize the risk of being caught. Unfortunately, the ignorant powers that be continue to persecute cannabis smokers for political reasons. We should take responsibility for our habits and grow for our own consumption, thereby eliminating the buy and sell game. Although the cannabis trade is not known for attracting ruthless people, it nonetheless is a black market activity that many wish to avoid. Some people may read this paper with the hope that they can grow acres of reefer that will bring them riches. Unfortunately, the gold rush as it pertains to weed has come and gone. The police confiscate patches of pot annually through the use of aerial infrared photography, and large plots are spotted much more frequently than small plots. This guide is not designed to be the herb grower's Bible, but to provide easy steps on how to cultivate small amounts of cannabis for personal consumption. There are people who know more about growing weed than we do, but the cannabis growing literature still lacks a brief explanation of how to produce outdoor kind but in easy steps. Our hope is that this paper can serve that purpose. We want to thank the many people who helped us acquire skill in this realm. Our assumption is that they want to remain anonymous. Any error or omission is our doing and we take full responsibility. All rights of this publication are not reserved. Anyone may duplicate this document in full or part. Please distribute liberally. Table of Contents. Acquiring good seeds. Finding a site. Making a trail. The mechanics of growing. A. Preparing the soil. B. Planting. C. Weeding. D. Removing males. E. The fungus. F. Emergency visits. The harvest. When to harvest. Acquiring good seeds. Quality seed strains are often difficult to obtain. This is especially true for people who hang in a predominantly straight crowd and know few people who partake in the fine herb. The rule of thumb is if the weed gets you pretty high, then the seed is usually good to grow. Seeds coming from green bud are often better to grow because the strain is frequently acclimated to the growing season of northern latitudes. Jamaican and Colombian varieties cannot be easily produced in northern latitudes because the strains produce bud too late in the season. The results of growing these varieties in most of the U.S. will be little or no bud growth before the first frost hits. Sativa strains usually grow taller than the indica or indica sativa hybrids. This can be a major drawback, especially in the fall when other plants are dying off and trees are losing leaves. Some growers have success crossing sativa varieties from southern climates with indica, and creating an offspring that will bud more timely. When at parties, concerts, or other social events, keep an eye out for people breaking up bud and discarding seeds. The best time to look for seeds is from October to January because this is when most of the locally grown outdoor herb hits the market. Acquiring and maintaining a quality seed stock is the most fundamental task of a successful grower. Finding a site, aside from acquiring good seed, picking the prime location to grow is probably the most important task a grower is faced with. One of the best locations is in areas of grasslands that have small trees and bushes interspersed. Often a farmer's field that has been out of production for 10 years is ideal. Floodplains along rivers and streams are another good location, but the risk of losing seeds in the spring or the harvest in the fall due to flooding should be considered. Growers have also been known to plant in buckets in more rocky or mountainous terrain. This enables them to grow in areas that receive good sunlight but have rocky, untillable soil. Digging the site in areas of dense but short plant growth, like sticker bushes, is another suitable spot. The sticker bushes grow high enough to prevent people from seeing through them and also serve as a direct deterrent from people and large animals wandering into the site. The grower can often use animal and insect life to his advantage. Bees, ticks, green flies and the like can discourage people from wandering through fields, so areas having an abundant insect population are prime locations. The most important criteria for an excellent growing site are good soil, available water, sunlight, and suitable cover. Other factors are secondary. Good soil is sometimes hard to find, but without it you won't get much of a harvest. So, if you find a site that is perfect for all other factors but has poor soil, you may want to consider bringing soil to the site. Soil is often the richest in areas where grassland vegetation has existed for a series of years. Grasslands recycle nutrients in the soil and form a thick layer of organic matter. Grassland biospheres require very little preparation to start growing, while other soil conditions require more work. Sandy soils often need potting soil or topsoil along with a small amount of lime to make them more fertile. Soils with high amounts of clay need material, like peat moss, added to break up the clay and make the soil more porous. I'm a naturalist and disagree with some herb growing professionals who believe that planting along roadsides can be productive. The lead and other toxic chemicals found in some of these soils is enough to discourage many vegetable growers from producing consumable or smokable plant material. If you live in the city and lack your own means of transportation, then use roadsides as your last resort. A close water source is also very important. A site close to the water table would be ideal, since bringing water into the site can get tiresome and also dangerous. It can get very tiresome if you have many sites or even a few big sites. If you choose a site much higher than the water table or grow in buckets, you will quickly find that the amount of water needed during a dry summer will be enormous and will give you great incentive to find the site closer to the water table. The dangers in having to bring water to the sites are numerous. The greatest of these would be the chance of someone spotting you, possibly the law. The second greatest would be the destruction of the foliage you have to walk through to get from the water source to the site. If you have to make more than one trip, you run a big risk that a trail will become noticeable. Finding a stable water source in the summer can be another obstacle, since small streams often dry up at this time. How often you will need to water is determined by the weather, and that could require you to make unexpected trips to the sites. Each trip puts you at risk. Your goal is to minimize these trips. Sunlight is less important than the previous two components, but is still essential. Plants should be in areas that receive at least 5 hours of direct sunlight per day. Morning sunlight is preferable, since plants tend to respond better to it than to the afternoon sunlight.